Leo, fixing his glasses, added that although his way was not traditional, his success showed them that this man was much more powerful than they were. The others began to tell the Grandmaster that they had questions as well. When he was done, they thanked the Grandmaster for his help. Someone promised that they would stop by again, and Zhang told Sun Qian to escort them out. Zhang questioned the Emperor in surprise. Did the Emperor really want him to help his elder get through? The latter nodded, to which Zhang stretched out his hand in front of him, lowered his head tiredly, closed his eyes and said that he had come to the Tianshuan kingdom to rest, so he didn't want to get involved in such matters. Zhang irritatedly thought about how could he help a master who was far above him in cultivation. With that master and us being just lucky, but he himself hasn't even reached the 7th rank. The Emperor bowed and said again, asking him, the Tianshuan realm is willing to do anything. Zhang looked at him indignantly, asked him, does he really think he needs anything? The Emperor awkwardly started to say no, of course not. Zhang turned to him and said, okay, he agrees. Have him help him gather the secret books on the 7th rank martial arts. It didn't matter if they were valuable or not, just as long as there were as many as possible. If they find 1,000 books, then he would consider helping the elder. Shen Jue was surprised, thinking about the fact that didn't the latter say that he didn't need anything? Rank 7. Why does he need them? A whole 1,000 more? Even the Royal Library doesn't have that many books. What is he going to do? Zhang turned away and said that if it was difficult, they could forget about it. The Emperor immediately replied that it was fine. He promises that he will do it in 5 days. Zhang said that is great. The Emperor thanked him and left. Left alone, Zhang was glad that he didn't expect the book problem to be solved so easily. Just then, Xiao Qian appeared at his back and told his master that these were gifts from the 3 Grandmasters. He held out a golden ring to him. Zhang took it and realized that it was a storage ring. After activating the storage ring, Zhang realized that this ring was 10 times better than his. There are treasures, pills, herbs, probably 1,010,000 in total here. So much stuff. As expected of Grandmasters, they are very generous. Sun Qian said that when he was away, Ling Tianyu came by and brought another 5 million. In the past few days, there were a few more customers who had paid the fee. He made a list. Taking the sheet in his hands, Zhang asked how many people in total. The guy replied that 27 people had paid the entry fee, totaling 81 million. Hearing this amount made Zhang's mouth drop open, thinking that he had initially thought that earning 20 million would be a near impossible task, but he had underestimated Grandmaster's reputation. He can't just take their money and not help. However, it was even too much. He told his butler to tell those outside the doors that if they paid, let them come tomorrow. He'll take them in, but those who haven't paid, let him just kick them out. Don't let him take anyone else in. When the guy was about to leave, Zhang Huang stopped him and handed him a single bill, saying that this was his reward. He had done a good job. Seeing the 1 million denomination bill, Sun Qian was surprised and thought that he would not have earned such a thing in his entire life. Accepting the money, the guy bowed low and thanked the Lord and promised that he would try even harder. Zhang replied that it was good. Let him deal with those people outside the gate and he would leave. In the teacher's classroom, Lu Senya, the purple-robed boy informed Teacher Lu that Grandmaster Yang had shown up. Today, Grandmaster Zhen and the others visited Grandmaster Yang's mansion with Emperor Shen Jue. Afterward, when the 3 Grandmasters came out, they were very complimentary about him. It seems that Yang Shi is definitely a Grandmaster and his level should be much higher than the others. Hearing this, Lu Sen happily asked, is he really higher than Grandmaster Zhen? A 2nd-star Grandmaster? They should meet him. Heading towards the exit, he thought about how he definitely needed to get this Yan to like him, and then he would finally spread his wings. But then the guy stopped him saying that the news of his return had gotten too loud. Too many people want to meet him. He doesn't think they can get through. Especially they have to pay 3 million first or they'll just be chased away. Even his old man won't be able to raise that amount of money so quickly. Lu Sen's eyes rounded in surprise, and he thought about the fact that although they are famous teachers, they only earn 2,000 or 3,000 each. But then he grinned and told the guy not to worry, even though it said to pay 3 million, but it's not necessary. He's sure that everyone cares about their reputation, so they don't pay in advance. If they act quietly, they can get in. The guy asked if he is suggesting going through with the others. He doesn't think that's a good idea. Grandmaster is clearly not a fool, but Lu Sen had a sly smile and said that he wasn't talking about that, but about their status as prestigious teachers. Given their fame in the entire kingdom, who would dare to disrespect them? They want to find a worthy Grandmaster. After all, Grandmasters are also interested in accepting students. They are the 2 most famous teachers in Tianshuan capital, so they are the most suitable candidates. If they demonstrate their abilities to him, he will definitely accept them as disciples. Considering how many capable students they have, he will definitely like them. It doesn't matter if they have 3 million or not. They will achieve being let in just by showing their abilities. They are bound to please this Grandmaster. His friend wanted to object, but Lu Sen excitedly continued that martial prowess was not the only factor in becoming a Grandmaster. Moreover, one must be able to pass on his knowledge to his disciples. As he said, they had an excellent resume in the form of their disciples. The guy was thinking about the fact that his friend seemed to be getting too excited, and Lu Sen approached him and said that if it didn't work, they could invite him to the teacher evaluation. When he witnesses how he manages to crush Zhang Xuan and how great he is, perhaps the latter would be impressed and would immediately accept him as his student. The guy replied to him that what he was saying made sense considering their identity as star teachers. Presenting their qualifications shouldn't be difficult. If that was the case, it could work even if they didn't pay the entrance fee. He thought about the teacher evaluation being a good opportunity. If Grandmaster Zhang Xuan saw this duel, he would definitely accept Lu Sen as his disciple, and then maybe he himself would get lucky. He suggested his friend to prepare before going. Alchemist's Guild. Ouyang Chung and his friend were standing in the courtyard. They saw a large bird fly towards them, and a man jumped from it to the ground. The pharmacists paid their respects to Mr. Hong Yun. The man who had gray short hair and a thick mustache asked where this Zhang Huang was. The elder replied to him that Mr. Zhang Huang was probably out of town, which was why he had not come. Hong Yun exclaimed that the brash man. This time he is not just here to deliver the medicine that Ouyang ordered. The pill discussion is a tradition passed down from ancient times. It has a set of unique rules that must be followed. He too will appreciate Zhang Huang's knowledge. If the latter doesn't impress him, he will immediately expel him from the guild. Have them bring the recording crystals of that day. If he finds any bias, everyone who participated in the discussion will be punished. Ouyang Chung took out a large blue one, holding it out to the Lord. The man took the crystal and activated it. Seeing the image of Zhang Huang, Hong Yun asked, "Is that who he is?" He turned to guild head Ouyang, saying that he was an experienced guild member. Why did he let this happen? So young and in discussions? Ouyang replied that they thought so too at first. Just then a guy's voice came out of the crystal and asked how about each of the masters create a pill. With any technique or recipe, he would also point out the method of preparation as well as the drawbacks of the resulting pills. If he is right, then the victory is his. Hong Yun called the guy a fool and added that even he can't guarantee that he can see all the flaws in the one-star alchemist's technique. However, as a disciple, he claims that he can do it. What kind of nonsense is this? He is truly naive. Looking further, the man was surprised, thinking that such knowledge could only come from a high-level alchemist who knows all the intricacies of his craft. He didn't expect such knowledge to be demonstrated by an ordinary disciple. Ouyang Chung told Mr. Hong that they had checked absolutely everything he said, and it turned out to be true. As for the weight of the cauldron, its thickness when it was created and other factors, Apothecary Zhang Huang had said everything correctly. The elder added that even the words about the number of sighs for heating. Indeed, it took exactly 34 breaths. Hearing about the failures of one of the alchemists, Hong Yun said that it couldn't be true. But the elder took out one book and said that they had checked his words, and the percentages he was talking about were extremely accurate. There was no difference in any direction. He could look at their records. Looking at the research, the man thought that if every step was charted out, there was a chance. Opening the records, the man thought about the fact that just by watching the process, the man was able to analyze the properties of each of the herbs, the time they were added, and their reaction to each other. Not even he could do that, and he was still so young. Just then, a servant came up to them and informed them that Zhang Huang. Dropping the crystal from his hands, Hong Yun asked, "Is it really that confident guy?" Looking at the shards of the crystal, Ouyang said that it was their only crystal. With a very tired look, with huge black eyes, Zhang greeted the alchemists. He asked if his purchases had arrived. A worried Ouyang replied that they had arrived. Hong Yun had brought them. The man told Mr. Zhang that if he wasn't busy. The guy looked at him tiredly and asked who he was. Hong Yun said that he had doubts about him becoming an alchemist. He hoped the guy could answer his questions. The guy replied that he didn't have time. He is not his teacher. If he has questions, let him go to the library. Now he has to go. Ouyang told the guy that he was the 2-star alchemist Hong Yun sent here by the central headquarters. Zhang replied that okay, he would answer, but he was still in a hurry. Bleeding sweat, Ouyang thought about the fact that this person was here to pro-examine him. If he hurries, he might as well lose his alchemist rank. Hong Yun said that when he creates the breath restoration pill, it looks yellowish. He would like to ask how this problem could be solved. Zhang asked, does he really call himself a 2-star alchemist when he doesn't even know that? This pill allows you to restore depleted energy, and the main ingredient is white grass. Even though it's white, it can turn yellow when it comes in contact with a person's qi. The problem is not with the pill, but with the qi of the person himself. If it is pure, this situation will not happen, and it is very easy to fix it. You need to add chinyan flower. It can absorb impurities in the true qi, and the pill will be white. Answering this question, the guy was already pecking his nose. The man said that pure lotus as the main ingredient of the pill is very bitter. Well, this board makes the mixture unstable. How will he solve this problem? Zhang replied that the bitter taste of pure lotus comes from the golden color of the seed. This part is not added at all. If you get rid of it, the pill will have a slightly sweet flavor. Adding it is overkill, so naturally such a thing will cause the cauldron to explode. He's a 2-star alchemist and he doesn't even know that? How did he get his qualifications then? Yawning, Zhang replied that if he wanted to ask that, he could find the tips in the guild's book collection. If he could, then let him read more books, and he should get going. The men annoyed thought about him sizing him up. Surely he knows the answers to these questions. And Zhang asked if everything he ordered is here. Then he is leaving. Hong Yun stopped the guy. He said he has one more question he has to answer. This will be the last one, and he can also give him his order for free if he answers. Hearing this, Zhang Huang thought of the entire 23 million that he would still have on him. All the fatigue immediately disappeared from his face, and he resolutely asked if he was sure about this. He's a 2-star alchemist. He should keep his word, right? If that's the case, then they should hurry up. The man thought about how this guy didn't even want to look at him until it came to money. Hong Yun said that the problem was that whenever he created a vitality restoration pill, the cauldron exploded. Ouyang and his friend thought about the fact that the vitality restoration pill was a 2nd-level pill. Even a 2-star alchemist could hardly handle it. And the latter had asked a 1-star alchemist about such a thing. Zhang frowned and thought about that life restoration pill ability. He hadn't seen any information about it in the library. Maybe it was a rare pill that wasn't described in the books of the Alchemists Guild in the Tianshuan Kingdom. If he didn't read about it in the library, there was another way. He said that he needed to see the very process of making it. The man agreed and they went to the furnace. They went into the right office where there was a huge furnace. The man motioned for them to step back. Taking out the necessary ingredients from his ring, he began the making. Zhang, who was being observed by this, thought about how the vitality restoration pill, even in the making stage, helps by its smell people feel better. He could feel the fatigue going away. When the alchemist finished, the door opened, and 2 incomprehensible substances could be seen. An unpleasant smoke spread through the room, and the man said that this is all he can do. Could the guy advise him? Zhang touched one of the pills, rubbed the dust in his fingers, and asked the man if he was sure he was a 2-star alchemist. The uncomprehending man asked what did he mean. Zhang asked, "What are the properties of blue flower grass?" Hong Yun replied that the blue flower grass has a purple color and is a warm herb. Zhang then asked, "What about the golden flower?" The man replied that the golden flower is made up of 2 colors, gold and silver, so some people call it silver flower. Zhang said seriously that although these 2 winds you have soft properties, when used together, they show an extremely strong reaction. The man objected that he knew this, but the pill recipe had been created over a long period of time. If the reaction between the 2 could cause the cauldron to explode, then it would happen to other people. Also, the sequence in which he stirred the medicinal herbs, there is no mistake. In fact, he even added the purple flower herb between them to unify the properties. Zhang grinned and turned away from him, replying that he did not say that his sequence was wrong or there was a problem with the 2 medicinal herbs. Hong Yun confusedly asked what he meant. Zhang replied that purple flower herb and golden flower herb can create a strong explosion when mixed together. It was true that adding it in the right order could solve the problem, but it didn't apply to him. There isn't a single mistake in his actions, technique, and timing, but he can't do it the way others do. The men shockedly asked what was wrong with him. Zhang cheerfully stated that it's just that he is special. If he was not mistaken, the man had never consumed the purple flower herb as food. The man awkwardly replied that he was allergic to it, so he couldn't eat it. The guy said that it's not actually because of allergies. Since he is refining using the rapid flame formula, his qi inherently carries the properties of fire. On the other hand, the purple flower grass grows in water, so it has different properties. Hence his qi overloads the water property of the purple flower grass, causing it to lose its effectiveness. Thus, while others can use the purple flower grass as a mediating factor in creating the vitality restoration pill, one cannot do so. Therefore, when the winds make direct contact, a strong reaction occurs and the cauldron explodes. The man shockedly asked, how did he know that he was using the fast flame formula? and he thought that the rapid flame formula was a method of cultivating the family heredity passed down in his clan. However, it was a personal secret, and he had never told anyone about it. How did this guy know about it? The man asked if there was a way out of this situation. To this, Zhang replied that he was a second-star alchemist. Couldn't he find a solution? But to himself, Zhang Huang thought to himself, the library can talk about the flaws, but not the solution. This is not the case. He needs more knowledge for the solution. He needs to read more books. The man bowed and replied that he understood. To himself, he decided that he needed to find another herb that I would clash with his qi. The problem should be solved. Yang was surprised that an alchemist of 1 star was teaching an alchemist of 2 stars. Zhang Huang smiled and told Mr. Ouyang that he had heard Mr. Hongyun's promise. Let him return his money to him. The guild leader looked at the guy unhappily and told him that since he was such a good alchemist, he couldn't make millions on pills. So why would he need the money? Hongyun said with a smile that it was fine. Let the guy take it. He was grateful to him. Zhang thanked him contentedly. Already barely on his feet, Zhang walked through the academy to his house. He fell asleep as he walked. Lu Shen and his friend passing by noticed him. Lu Shen calmly said that this was what was expected of him. No respect for the teacher's reputation. How did he just get accepted here? His friend said he thought the one was terrified after receiving a challenge from him. That's why he was so diligent in finding a way to win. Lu Shen chuckled, saying that the latter would only be able to defeat him in the teacher's estimation in his sleep. The guy added that, to be honest, it was as if the latter was drunk. With his help, he would easily attract the Grand Master's attention. The latter wouldn't be able to do anything. Lu Shen said that they had to go, otherwise they would never be able to get to Master Yang. The guy replied that exactly, it is Grandmaster Yang who is their target, and Zhang is just a stepping stone to it. Staggering around, Zhang Huang is about finally. He has no strength at all. The main thing is not to do anything stupid. We should go back to class and finally get some sleep. In the classroom, all the students were waiting for their teacher. Standing in front of them, Zhang thought about the fact that he hadn't seen them for 5 days. It was time to appreciate their diligence. Although Zhao Yao had stayed at the top of the first rank for a long time, her strength is much higher than the others. It looks like she will soon break through to the second rank realm. As for Yuan Dao, who turned out to be the weakest among Zhang Huang's disciples, he had moved from the initial stage of the first rank to the intermediate stage. He smiled tiredly at his disciples, saying that it looked like they had done a great job. He then turned to Zhao Yao and Yuan Dao, telling them to follow him. In the inner study, Zhang Huang handed the girl a box, saying that this was the yin-destroying pill that could awaken her body's specialty. Later at night, let her find a large wooden bucket, pour water into it, and immerse her feet in it before consuming the pill. The girl thanked him. He then turned to the lad, asking if he knew why he had accepted him as his disciple. The guy didn't know what to answer, so Zhang patted his shoulder, telling him that he didn't need to feel inferior. As long as he improved, he would be able to reach greater heights than Zheng Yang and the others. The boy asked his teacher in surprise, did he really think so? Zhang answered him to be sure. He is not wrong, but he has no talent, so he will have to work hard. It will be painful and difficult. Is he ready for it? The guy dropped to his knees and resolutely answered that as long as he could, he would try his best. No matter how much it hurts, he will work on himself. Zheng said that was good, took out a blue bottle, and added that he had prepared this for him. When he returns to his dormitory today, have him apply it on his body. The process could be very painful, but if he overcomes this, he will gain strength. The use will not be limited to one time. He will need to apply it to his body continuously. Is he ready for that? Yuan Dao felt sorry for the Elak and said that no matter how hard it was for him, he would work hard. Zhang said okay. Then let him do as he told him to do, and let him not forget that one session will not be enough. He gives him 5 days and then let him show him his progress. Holding the bottle in his hands, the boy replied that he would not let him down. And then the teacher looked at the girl again, saying that the medicine he gave her would help to bring out her yin body power. When she took it, there might be a dissonance between her yin and yang energy. However, under the pressure of yang, her yin body should activate. That's how it works. The girl answered the teacher seriously so he wouldn't worry. She would not let him down. He then told them to go and called Wang Yin and Yang Li. When the next 2 students came in, they saw that their teacher was sleeping. Hearing their noise, Zhang woke up and asked in a tired voice, how were their past injuries? Did the medicine work? The girl replied with a smile that thanks to him, her legs were unharmed. The boy added that his hands were too. They were fine. The teacher showed them forward, saying that on the table were new techniques for arms, legs, and body strengthening that he had created for them. For 5 days, let them practice them diligently. Opening her book, the girl thought about the fact that their Wang family's leg techniques are considered one of the best in the entire Zhang Xuan. But compared to what their teacher had given them, it was heaven and earth. And looking at her book, Yang Li, and thought about the fact that this kick was so short and powerful. Unbelievable. They bowed and thanked the teacher, telling them that they would not disappoint him. He told them to train hard and to call out to Zheng Yang. Before leaving, the girl told the teacher that her father had given him money as a thank you for training her. He spends so much on them. The girl held out the bill to him and the teacher took it, replying that he wouldn't refuse it. Wang Yin thanked and left. When Zheng Yang walked in, Zhang told him that he was practicing that technique perfectly, but his cultivation was still at a low level. With this, within 5 days, let him try to advance to the second time. He handed him a small yellow vial. The boy thanked and Zhang yawned, telling him to go train. Leaving the classroom at sunset, Yang Li happily said that the technique his teacher gave him was incredible. In just 2 days, he would already catch up to Zheng Yang. That probably answered that well. Wang Ying asked, "Where is teacher Zheng Yang? Didn't Zhao Yao see him coming out?" The girl replied that she didn't seem to have. "We'll have to take a look." Back in the classroom, Zhao Yao thought about the teacher being in his office all day today, right? Opening the doors to the office, the girl shockedly covered her mouth with her hand. Returning to her classmates, she, with tears in her eyes, said that the teacher had fallen asleep. Yuan Dao said no wonder. The one looked really tired. Yang Li also seriously said that he had compiled such wonderful techniques for them. And Wang Yin added that she had also gotten rare medicines. Zheng Yang suggested that the teacher must have tirelessly cared about their success. Wiping his tears, Zhao Yao said that they shouldn't let him down. They should try their best and win at the teacher's evaluation so as not to disappoint him. Teacher had done a lot for them. They all bumped their fists and said with a chorus that they must not lose. Dormitory. Yao Han irritatedly thought about the fact that this guy wasn't bad. He had found out about teacher Shang Bin's actions the day he was beaten up, and he hadn't left his office all day. That is to say, it was definitely teacher Zhang. The more he thinks about it, the angrier he gets. He's a teacher and shouldn't be beating up other people. He's deceiving and misleading people. It's not right. Although he didn't hesitate to give Zhao Yao that expensive herb. That teacher didn't even look that it was very expensive. Just then a servant came to him and told the butler that there was news from the master. He read that the master had received news about Zhao Yao. In a few days he will come to the capital to visit this teacher Zhang Huang. Their family already had a person with a yin body, Zhao Yao's mother. But to activate it you need a special third-level pill, yin destruction. It costs tens of millions. After reaching the capital, he intends to beg His Majesty to buy this pill for him from the Alchemists Guild. The butler also needs to make some preparations beforehand. Furthermore, he asks someone to give him over 100,000 and give the money to teacher Zhang Xuan. After all, he cannot force him to spend his money to save his daughter. He doesn't want to be obligated. Just then, the servant held out another envelope to the butler, saying that the master had given him this. He said it was as a thank you to teacher Zhang. The man replied that he understood and told him not to let the mistress know about it. The moment he had just hidden the envelopes, Zhao Yao appeared. She told her uncle that it was good that he was here. She asked if he knew anything about the yin destruction pill. How much does it cost? The man replied that yin destruction helps activate the yin body. Well, don't let her worry. The master is already in the process of buying it. And to himself, he thought to himself that even the master took a while to find out about her. He didn't expect the mistress to know so quickly. The girl replied that there was no need. Teacher Zhang had already given her one. From what he heard, the man came to a shock. He thought about what the gentleman had just said. This was a third-level pill that cost tens of millions. It was extremely difficult to buy it even if one had the required amount of money. Teacher Zhang found one. He asked the mistress if he could look at it. The lady handed the box to his uncle, saying of course. Opening it, Yao Han was surprised to think that this aura was absolutely for a level 3 pill. But how did he get it? He thought, that worst teacher in the academy who bullies students. He's actually a rank 6 master giving his students expensive gifts without regretting the loss. There's a mother herb, that pill. This is definitely not an ordinary person. The girl slammed the box shut, said she had to take it. She asked to guard her door. No one could come in. Looking at the girl leaving, Yao Han thought that even her father couldn't buy it for nothing. He knows that the Lord doesn't want to be indebted to teacher Zhang. Can he pay for his help? Filling the wooden tub with water, Zhao Yao immersed herself in it, put a pill in her mouth, closed her eyes and thought about following teacher's instructions. Yuan Dao was sitting on a single rock in the forest, almost completely undressed. He looked at his jar and said that the teacher said it would be a long process. Opening it, he decided to try it on his hand first. Pouring out a small amount, he immediately felt unbearable pain all over his arm. He began rolling around on the ground, agonizing in pain. Shivering and drenching himself with tears, he said could he leave it as it was? It wasn't bad now. He could practice slowly, gradually getting better. Then he thought about the fact that if he gave up, wouldn't he disappoint the teacher? If he disappointed him, he wouldn't forgive himself. He had 10 teachers, but none of them took him seriously. Only teacher Zhang doesn't make fun of him even though he is his worst student. He even created techniques, methods for him, brought himself to the point where he could succeed. The guy stood up, clenched his fist, and said that he couldn't disappoint his teacher. If he can't endure this pain, is he worthy of the teacher's kindness? He won't let himself give up, and it's all thanks to the teacher. Were in himself on his head this liquid, the boy added that it was better to endure now than to regret for the rest of his life. He would be in pain either way, so he would choose pain for the greater good. He screamed in unbearable pain, and everything around him lit up. When it was over, he lay on his back on the grass, breathing heavily. As he got up, he noticed blue scales all over his body. He wondered what they were. What were they for? He should try it. He found one huge tree and said it looked strong. He would try it on it. He decided to try a simple punch, so he stretched his shoulder and smashed it into a tree post. It immediately snapped and fell to the ground. The shocked boy thought about the strange sensation he had. He doesn't feel any pain. He feels that his defense has increased. He shouted loudly that he did it. He did it. In the dormitory. A loud sound came from the girl's room. Yao Han immediately rushed to the door asking if the mistress was all right. The girl shouted to him not to come in. She is fine. He asked, "What's wrong?" Zhao Yao was sitting on the wooden bottom of the bathtub, and around her were broken sides and a few blue crystals. The girl replied to her uncle that she had broken through to rank 2, and Yin's body was activated. The man replied that was great, and congratulated her. The girl thought about the fact that just like the teacher said, her body was weakened at first because of the yang energy, but it all worked out. Teacher Zhang's room. The boy opened his eyes, got up from the bed, and asked in surprise, how did he end up here? Looking at the table beside him, he saw his folded clothes and fresh food. He realized that his students had done this. Smiling, he thought about how he was too tired yesterday and fell asleep in class. It seems his students didn't want to wake him up and moved him here. He was really tired these days. Even with his strength, he fell asleep and didn't notice it. Looking out the window, he said that it seemed to be noon already. Grandmaster took about 80 million. It's impossible to leave people with nothing. There was a long line of people at the gate of the Grandmaster mansion. Sun Qian was glad that his master had returned. Zhang Xuan said that they should get back to work. Sun Qian cheerfully warned everyone to get in line, the first to go. Zhang Huang helped the man to rise. Seeing the 2 satisfied men off, the butler thanked them for visiting and for their 3 million. He called out for the next one, but he was approached by 2 teachers. Lu Sen's friend told the butler with a smile that they were from Hongtian Academy. Someone gave them a displeased look and told them to get in line. Why does he care where they are from? Can't they see the queue? Shouldn't they, the teachers, follow the rules? If they just ask, do they really think he'll just let them in? The guy was starting to get angry and wanted to object to something, but Lu Sen put his hand on his shoulder, telling the butler with a smile, "Son didn't get angry. They are the star teachers of the academy. They would like to meet Master Yang if he allows it." After recognizing teacher Lu Sen, Sun Qian frightenedly thought to himself, isn't he Master Lu's only son? Everyone is prophesying him the title of Grandmaster, and he told him to fall in line. Yesterday he insulted 3 Grandmasters, and today he insulted a future Grandmaster. Why is it always like this? Why does Grandmaster have such an easy time insulting everyone and getting away with it? Lu Sen handed him an envelope, saying that it contained their name scrolls. He asked to present them to the Grandmaster. They would appreciate it if he would allow them in. Awkwardly taking the envelope, Sun Qian replied that fine, let them wait here. The guy with the carriage called the butler a cockroach, and said that this is how power makes pathetic people and even more pathetic. But Lu Sen told him with a smile that it was just little things in their way, don't let him worry. He then turned to the men in the crowd and apologized for delaying them. The man who was first in line replied that as soon as he realized that they were Teacher Lu and Teacher Wang, he immediately stopped being angry. 2 of the academy's most famous teachers, he wanted to come to see them, but he didn't expect to meet them here. They were honored to let them pass through. Just then the gate opened. Sun Qian came out to them and apologized, saying that Mr. Yang was extremely busy right now. They could come tomorrow. A man asked, why so suddenly? And Teacher Wang asked, what about them? Grandmaster Yang didn't let them in, but the butlers looked at them contemptuously and said they had 2 choices, pay up or get out. Teacher Wang irritatedly asked, "Are those really Grandmaster Yang's words? He is only a butler. Let him not twist the words of the Lord." The guy grudgingly replied that the Lord said that it doesn't matter who is outside the door. They are all in the same conditions, so if there is no money, they can leave. Otherwise, if everyone came with a name scroll, would the master be able to work properly? And a star teacher who wants to jump the queue without paying money, isn't he dishonoring the teaching profession? The men in the crowd began to say, did they really not even pay but wanted to enter? Grandmaster Yang is fair, they should all be equal. One old man said that those without money but with great insolence. Others began to say that it was impossible for such low-class people to attract Yang Shi's attention. To think that they wanted to become his disciples was ridiculous. The teachers began to feel awkward as everyone looked at them scornfully. Sun Tian asked if he really needed to call the guards. Teacher Wang wanted to say something to him, but Lu Sen apologized to the butler saying that they had misbehaved. Irritated at leaving the place, Teacher Wang asked what should they do now. Lu Sen replied that there was nothing left for them to do but to find the 3 million and do everything by the book. Teacher Wang asked, where would they find such an amount of money? His father had recently spent a huge amount on a single spear technique, so they were almost bankrupt. After spending like that, it's unlikely that he would even accumulate 100,000. Lu Sen told his friend that he knows about his relationship with his father. Even if he asked, he wouldn't give him money, and he wouldn't be able to ask. That's when Teacher Wang had an epiphany and suggested that his friend borrow some from the emperor. Didn't he grow up in the palace? Borrowing a small amount wouldn't be that hard, and once he became a disciple, he would simply pay the money back. Lu Sen was interested in this. A few minutes ago, some person wearing a hooded cloak walked into Zhang Huang's place. Sun Tian asked fearfully, who is it? Zhang thought to himself, wondering who it was. If he entered without queuing from the main entrance, he would definitely be noticed, so how did he get in? The man removed his hood and face bandage and Zhang recognized the emperor. The man bowed and said he had come here surreptitiously to ask him to save the elder. The boy asked, didn't he tell me he would help him? And even if, why is he dressed like that? The emperor got down on one knee and replied that he knew he was doing wrong and was rushing him, because the deal was to prepare books for him, but who knew the elder would get worse? No one knows if he will live to see tomorrow, so he took a risk and came here, hopefully to help him. Besides, the elder's illness is classified information. Zhang Huang thought about the fact that it seems like he is the last hope for the emperor. In any case, in this situation he simply cannot refuse. He replied that all right, he's watching the elder. He then told his butler to go out and tell the people that he won't be seeing anyone else today. Let them come later. He started and was about to go, but the emperor told him that there were a lot of extra eyes outside, it might get in the way. The boy replied that he understood. The emperor ran across the rooftops, and Zhang Huang was behind him. All the while watching Grandmaster, the emperor thought about the fact that he had used more than 12 methods of movement along the way, but it was as if Grandmaster Yang was not offending at all. He was not even panting. His qi is much more energetic. With such powerful qi and an amazing traveling technique, it's impossible for him to be a weakling. No wonder Grandmasters were impressed by him. Without a doubt, his strength definitely surpasses that of a peak 7th-ranked Grandmaster. He might even be at the 8th rank. Meanwhile, Zhang Huang thought that the emperor had been raring to go so fast since the beginning. Perhaps the elder really feels bad. But why did the normal path turn into a race? In order to maintain his image, he shouldn't show that he was having a hard time. Fortunately, he had learned the heaven traveling technique a few days ago, but if he was distracted for a second, everything would go to ruin. At this stage, you have to do your best with the new technique. It's really hard. He had solved his disciples' problems, and after receiving the 7th rank books, Zhang Xuan must leave. Pretending to be a grandmaster is quite lucrative, but it's also dangerous. He could be killed if revealed. Making several jumps across the rooftops, he thought to himself that pretending to be a grandmaster was very hard. The men landed in the back of the palace. As they approached the single door to a small house, the emperor told the grandmaster to pass through. Inside, 3 grandmasters were waiting for them. Chief Elder Shen Hong was lying in bed with his eyes closed. The emperor asked Zhang Huang to help him again. The latter replied that he would do what he could, and he thought to himself that it was no wonder that Emperor Shen Jue had specifically rushed out to look for him. Based on Shen Huang's current condition, it was hard to say whether he would be able to live until tomorrow. Crouching on the edge of the bed, he took the old man's wrist, but was surprised that the library hadn't activated. He assumed that Shen Hong wasn't in a coma right now. He needs to see him kick, but his condition is not an option. He's afraid that if he does get him to move, he'll die instantly. The emperor asked the grandmaster if he could help him. The guy thought about the fact that the library is activated if he looks at a normal person's stroke or touches an unconscious person. But what to do with a half-dead person? Answered the emperor that he needed something that could render an elder unconscious. Do they have something like that? The man thought about what it was for. Master Zhang mentally said to his companions, "Have they heard of a treatment method where you have to render a patient unconscious?" Master Zhuang mentally replied that Grandmaster Yang had unusual methods, and Mr. Liu asked how he was going to save the elder if he wanted to put him into a coma. The emperor said that he has a special powder. If it is inhaled, the person will lose consciousness. He took out a small envelope from his inner pocket. Zhang Huang told the emperor that it was wonderful, but why does he carry it around with him? The man awkwardly replied, lest Grandmaster Yang misunderstand him. Different situations happened to the emperor. Opening the envelope, Zhang told the old man to inhale with a smile. From what he saw, everyone fell. The emperor thought about the fact that he was giving a coma-inducing powder to a person who was about to die. Grandmaster Yang is inimitable. He hesitantly told Grandmaster that the elder is weak and the powder is extremely strong. He is afraid that he won't be able to withstand it. Zhang immediately stopped and thought about the fact that this man is holding on by sheer willpower. If he doesn't fall into a coma, he will die immediately. He stood up and asked, "Is there anything that can increase his life force for a short time even if he falls into a coma?" Mr. Zhuang mentally asked Grandmaster Zhen if he knew anything about such methods. The latter replied that the patients were usually examined while they were conscious. The emperor replied that the elder had taken every possible means that could prolong his life. They were no longer working. Zhang mentally thought to himself, had the man already taken such medicines? It became addictive, didn't it? Grandmaster Zhen said that he knew something that could strengthen a person for a short period of time, similar to what Grandmaster Yan had just said. When taken, it could increase strength and rejuvenate the weak with minimal side effects. Here he fell silent and Zhang asked, "But what?" The man continued that it wasn't really a pill, it was a poison. Zhang and the emperor were surprised. Mr. Liu corrected his glasses and said that everyone knows that a poison maker is a lowly profession. A poison maker does despicable and dirty deeds that are frowned upon. But the fact that the profession has survived intact centuries later shows that it must have value. Mr. Zhuang added that this poison is said to be made from a dozen kinds of poison in a special ratio, similar to alchemy, and is extremely complex. The result should be a solution with the perfect ratio of poisons. Not only is it harmless to life, but it also activates the potential to restore vitality and energy in a short period of time, which is amazing. Mr. Zheng continued that the profession of a poison maker is rare, but it is very common to find something like this even in first-rate kingdoms. Mr. Liu asked Grandmaster Yang what he thought about it. The latter hesitantly replied that he didn't like the profession of poison maker. He knew very little about it. Do any of them have this poison? Mr. Zheng said that this preparation must be prepared by the poisoner on the spot and cannot be stored. Otherwise, when the drug is infused, it can mutate, causing the balance to be disturbed and become very toxic. They cannot bring such things with them. Zhang Huang said that they just need a poison master then, right? The emperor was surprised and the guy told him that he needed this poison to cure the elder. But the emperor awkwardly said that there aren't any poison masters in their kingdom. Why doesn't Grandmaster Yan know about this? He immediately coughed and replied that he had completely forgotten, thought he was staying in another kingdom, and in his mind, he never thought he would be wrong about such obvious things. If he knew that there were no poison masters in the Tianquan kingdom, he wouldn't even stutter about it. Although there are many books about poisons in the library. But how could he know that there were no poison masters in the kingdom? He needs to know more about the world. Mr. Zhuang mentally told his companions that the fact that he was from a kingdom with poison masters meant that this place was one of the most developed. But they had been to all the suitable regions nearby and there was no one with that name. Zhang asked if they knew what this poison was made of. If they have those ingredients, they should bring them over. Mr. Zheng said honestly, "The recipe is very simple. Only 10 ingredients. He even memorized them. But even if they know the ingredients as well, it's very difficult to achieve a balance in their ratio even for a poison master." Zhang asked, "They know the recipe and can't make it. That's what, first let him tell him the recipe and then we have to get everything we need." The man replied to him that since he insists, he will do it. The recipe for the poison: Dokan herb, white bamboo snake venom, deadly flower, black blood. After listening to the recipe, Zhang thought to himself that indeed these are all very poisonous things. An ordinary person would die as soon as they tasted them, let alone a half-dead person. But their proper synthesis can work wonders. Poison masters are truly amazing. Mr. Liu asked, "What good would it do for them to find all this stuff? Without a poison master, it's all just dangerous materials. Mr. Zhuang will add that Shen Hong's situation is really complicated. He thinks they can't find a solution together. A poison potion is one of the best ways to restore a person's energy for a short time, but only if they know how to prepare it. Zhang said that if they need it, they will make it. In any case, if they know the herbs, what difference does it make if they have a poison master? Can't they save an elder without a poison master? Master Liu said that none of them know how to make it. Zhuang added that if there was a mistake, the person would be poisoned on the spot and would have no chance of survival. Zhang calmly waved his hand, saying that if they don't know, they can learn, they can try it, no need to fuss. Everyone was shocked, thinking how the hell can this be learned now? Shen Hong, who had heard them all the time, thought about how every profession in this world required a master to teach. It would take years of learning before one could even do anything. So what was the point of learning in a few minutes? Who did Shen Jue bring? He just wants to live a little longer for the sake of his country. But there is no way he wants to be punished by poison. What did he do? After a while, the men opened a big box which contained 5 clean test tubes, different kinds of herbs and flasks of liquids. And they told the Grandmaster that this was what he had asked for. Zhang replied that it was good. Going to the box, he took out one of the liquids, thinking about using the library to work out a recipe. Mr. Zhen told him that poison was not a toy. It was best not to act randomly. Zhang replied that he knew that, so now he would figure out the proportion. The man didn't understand what that meant, and Zhang closed his eyes and turned down the library of the heavenly path. Books started flying towards him, and he activated the synthesis of poison books. All the books were gathered into one common book, where the perfect one was located. Zhang opened the book. He started to read that although I am a dangerous thing, they can also help people. Meanwhile, Mr. Liu mentally said that although the profession of poison master is a lowly profession, it is so profound that it cannot be mastered overnight. Mr. Zhuang added that this Master Yang is educated and knowledgeable, helping to make incredible breakthroughs. But what is he doing now? At this moment, Zhang slammed the book shut and thought to himself that as expected, he is not a poison master, but he definitely knows what to do now. The Emperor rushed to the elder whose condition had deteriorated. He told Master Yang that the elder could no longer hold on. If they didn't save him now, it would be too late. He fell to his knees and told Grandmaster Yang that if there was any option to save the elder, please let him do it. The kingdom would be indebted to him to the grave. Pouring one of the liquids into a test tube, Zhang asked, "Isn't he doing it now? When I am ready, let him give it to the elder. Then he will tell me what to do." He continued to pour the liquid into one test tube that was bigger, but then he stirred one of the smaller ones and poured its contents into the big test tube too, with steam coming out of it. Mr. Zheng said, "This is nonsense. If even one drop 1% wrong, the outcome would be fatal. For this reason, poison preparation requires special equipment that is absolutely precise, without the slightest error. Grandmaster Yang would not be able to do that." Mr. Liu added exactly what it is. To find the right proportions, you have to mix 2 ingredients first, then add a third. Monitor their reactions. You can't do everything at random. There is a certain order to what drugs are administered at what time. No mistakes can be made. Otherwise, death will result. Holding up one of the vials that he had sealed with a wooden stopper, Zhang announced that the poison was ready. He had succeeded. Mr. Zheng asked again if it had succeeded. Master Liu wondered, did it work so quickly without instructions? Mr. Zhuang added that he wasn't sure at all. Opening the stopper of the vial, the Emperor thought about how he wasn't even 1/100% sure of this poison. But he wouldn't be able to think of any other way. The elder would die either way. He opened the elder's mouth and told him to drink. While the poison was being poured into him, the old man thought about the fact that he was the elder of Tianshuan Kingdom, an extremely influential person whose status is even more revered than that of an emperor. How dare he allow a poison that has yet to be tested to be injected into him? Why is his life so miserable? It's not easy to live in peace. It's even harder to die. He coughed, then clenched his teeth, threw his head back and began to squirm in pain. The Emperor was frightened, and Mr. Liu exclaimed that, "Is it a failure?" Mr. Zhang said that it was impossible to pick the perfect proportion by accident. The Emperor looked at Zhang fearfully, and Mr. Zhang asked, did he really think the man was dead? Indeed. He slapped the elder. The latter swallowed and abruptly sat up on the bed as he continued to cough. The Emperor was shocked. The elder looked at him and shouted, asking if he really wanted to kill him, right? The Emperor confusedly said that of course not. Shen Hong then thanked Master Yang for his help. The latter replied that it was fine. Let him show him a few kicks. Getting up from the bed, the elder began to say that being on the brink, he realized that there is a stage of life. There's no point in delaying it. He is so, that of course he can't even think of breaking through. It's futile, but he's happy. Unhappily looking at the old man, Zhang thought about what he lived. He formed a whole book in the library. What kind of nonsense is he talking about? Can we stop playing philosopher? Mr. Zhang told him with a smile that he had truly experienced life. It was good. All material things are nonsense. What matters is his understanding of the world. Life is good, but it limits his development. Otherwise, with such talent, he would have broken through and become a master long ago. The elder replied to him that this was true. It was a pity he realized it so late. He wanted to say something else, but Zhang slapped him on the back of the head, sending him off. He then proceeded to yell that he was just asking him to show him a couple punches. What kind of nonsense was he talking about? The elder was lying on the floor, and Zhang stood up and angrily told him that there was a time limit on how long this poison could bring a person back to life. It is roughly the burning of one stick of incense, so stop wasting your time with life and death speeches. If he does nothing, he'll die. Then he definitely won't be able to do anything. The men were shocked that he had just punched him, and Zhuang asked unhappily that there was really no way to examine people only when they were unconscious. Zhang Huang touched the elder's wrist to see what was wrong with him. From his book, he learned that Shen Hong, the grandfather of the Tianquan Kingdom Emperor, Shen Zhuya, was half a step away from ranking. The emperor asked if he could help him. Zhang replied that yes, it was not too late. It is necessary for him to wake up. When the old man opened his eyes, the emperor helped him sit up and asked, "How is he? Was everything all right?" Holding his head, the elder replied that he seemed to be dreaming. He had come to know life and... But then Zhang interrupted him, telling him not to waste time. He'll give him two options. One, he lives and makes a breakthrough. The second is he just dies and doesn't waste his time. Shen Hong exclaimed in surprise, "Can he really live? Would he help him break through? Couldn't he help him?" Zhang replied that it would be easy, but the latter must follow his instructions and not resist. Otherwise, there was no way he would be able to make him succeed, which meant that he must do everything he was told with full cooperation and no questions asked. The old man replied hopefully that of course, no problem. As long as he helps him, he won't mind. The other three grandmasters thought to themselves, really again? This Grandmaster Yang hasn't started the treatment yet and he's already scaring them. Zhang told the emperor to bring some dancers here, preferably with a good figure. The emperor incomprehensibly thought about the fact that the dancers were mostly at a low rank. Why would they be needed? Moreover, with a good figure, is it definitely a treatment? He can't understand the Grandmaster's wisdom. One should just follow his orders. After a short time, three girls arrived in the room with translucent veils over their faces, and of their clothes they wore pink bras and long skirts with slits that revealed their legs. The emperor asked if these would fit. Mr. Zhang replied that yes, perfect. Mr. Zhen mentally told his friends that he didn't know what he was going to do, but he would look into such breakout methods. Mr. Liu replied that yes, his methods need to be studied very deeply, and Zhuang added that everything is just as unpredictable as it was with him. Zhang then leaned into the emperor's ear and said that something else was needed. After listening to the Grandmaster's request, the shocked emperor said that if he had such an interest, he could send him as many girls as he liked, but this was not the right place. Besides, let him look at himself. Why would he want to do that? But then the evil elder threw a pillow at his grandson and shouted that Grandmaster Yang was doing everything to help him. Why is he delaying? Let him fulfill his request sooner rather than later. The emperor replied that yes, all right. An uncomprehending Master Liu asked what did the latter say to the emperor. Master Zhen replied that he wanted Shen to go down and look for something. Zhuang asked what? Why was the latter so surprised? Zhen answered them that aphrodisiac. Grandmasters were shocked to think of Grandmaster Zhen using this unusual method, but an aphrodisiac? First the dancers, then this. Surely he wants to cure the elder. The emperor handed over a small bottle to Zhang Xuan, saying that this was what he had asked for. He also held a rope in his hand. Zhang told him to tie the elder to the bed. The emperor didn't understand why, but agreed. Generator walked up to his grandfather and changed. The man replied to him that everything was fine. After pouring out some pills on his hand, Zhang saw that the elder was already tied hand and foot to the bed so that he could sit up. He held out the bottle to the emperor and told him to give the pills to him. The emperor didn't know what to do and the old man asked him why he was delaying. Let him hurry up. The grandmasters felt very uneasy. Mr. Liu said that the situation was becoming more and more strange. Isn't it time to stop them? Mr. Zheng replied that not yet. It's worth it to see what he's up to. Mr. Zhuang added that he was beaten in the sack, but at least he didn't lose his honor, and wouldn't the elder be furious when he remembers what kind of improprieties happened to him? Meanwhile, Zhang told the girls to dance. They did so, but the elder looked at their beautiful bodies and sighed sadly. thinking about the fact that at this age he was no longer capable of feeling into the treatment. But at this moment he was puffing up, and didn't understand how this was possible. He asked the emperor, what did he just give him? The man guiltily replied that it was an aphrodisiac. The village elders shouted, saying he was his grandfather. How can he treat him like that? What kind of grandson is he after that? The emperor guiltily said not to blame him. He did everything Mr. Yang said. He wouldn't have done that. But the old man interrupted him, shouting that he had allowed it. How could he defame his honor as an elder with such actions? He did it after all. Why blame an honest man? Clenching his teeth and covered in sweat, he added that unworthy grandson. He had loved him so much. Now there was nothing he could do about it. The emperor excitedly asked the grandmaster if everything was all right. Zhang told him not to worry. Let things continue. Grandmaster L asked Zhang if he knew anything about this kind of breakthrough method. The man awkwardly replied that this was the first time he had seen such a thing. Liu asked if this farce should be stopped. Who knows what might happen next? Zhuang said that Grandmaster Yang helped him break through in an equally unusual way. Maybe he has it under control? Even though it looks terrible, it's all for the elder. Liu said, look at the elder, he is like a crazy person. The old man was shaking all over and tried to pounce on the blonde. She was scared. Mr. Liu said that once this is known, the elder's reputation will be ruined. Going to the 8th rank is difficult in itself. Many great masters stop at the 7th rank, and the difference between these ranks is huge. Masters even in their prime give up hopes of advancing to the 8th rank. Just then the elder shouted loudly that he couldn't take it anymore. He tensed his arms and broke the ropes, and the girl fell down. He had now become an 8th rank warrior, a sage. His body was in good pumped-up shape. Everyone present was surprised. Confidently standing on his feet, Shen Hong told them all to get out. The girls fearfully left. The elder got down on one knee and thanked the grandmaster.